Well, I think just the comfort level of working together. I mean, there's a group of guys that are new. You know, one of the things that we've had is we've had guys that, you know, come in and it's a new situation and they've got to get used to working with each other. It takes time. Part of it also is the pass rush syncing up with them as well. So that's, I think, is a big part of what's happened for us.
What's the process of coming up with a run game plan each week?
Well, really looking at the fronts that they're in primarily. Then you look at the coverages that they use, because the coverages dictate whether it's a 7-man box or an 8-man box. And then you look at the tendencies as far as down and distance is concerned. You look at, obviously, where you are in the game. And then the other part also is the personnel matchups. Do you feel good about certain guys blocking certain guys?
And, you know, I guess, what are some of the tweaks that maybe you make week to week, or some of, who are the voices, I guess, in there that ultimately you guys come to hey, this is how we want to attack in certain situations?
Well, you know, we have specific coaches that work specifically on the run game. Some of them work specifically on the blocking patterns. And then the other part will be some of them work on really the back sets, the formation, stuff like that. And then they come together and collaborate as to what fits best. You know, Scotty will listen, and at the end of the day, it is his ultimate decision. But, you know, when you have so many voices of experience in that room, it's very beneficial to have that type of group.
In Carolina, obviously, you had a star in Christian McCaffrey, but here you're getting it kind of done with the tandem. With the success that Gibson and McKissick have had, has that made you rethink the position at all, or anything?
No, for the most part, what we've done prior to getting Christian, we always had a two-back tandem. You know, we had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart for such a long time, and then we had Jonathan. We had Fozzie Whitaker, a young back that came out of Texas, who was a very good changeup to Jonathan. And then when Fozzie got hurt and he was slowing down, we had to find another weapon, and we found Christian and Jonathan's last year. And after that, pretty much when Christian took off, he was short of being a 1,000 guy, and then the next year he was a 1,000 guy for us. So. Having one back really is tough, because you don't want that guy to really be the focus. You want to have a good rotational system. And right now, I think that's kind of where we are. We have a good rotational system. I like the 3 young men that we have carrying the ball for us. They're all versatile. They all do their own thing. And they have their characteristics and their traits that fit what we do.
And I'm curious, you said last year that you got a little bit more involved in the offense because Scott was a first-year coordinator. When you guys shift to a run thing like that, is that a conversation you're having with him, or does he bring it to you? How does that idea of, all right, we reviewed the tape of the bye week, we need to run the ball, how's that reach?
That was something, in listening to them talk about it, that Scotty and I talked about. You know, they came together and looked at things that we did well and we need to do more of. And just talking about, that, we really kind of found our footing, I think, coming out of it with the realization that, let's take advantage of what we do really well, and let's make sure, because it'll take a lot of pressure off of Taylor, which it has. And because Taylor's very good with play action, that's helped us as well.
Ryan, over the last couple of weeks, I've heard you use the word momentum. Momentum, this team has momentum, the players feel the momentum. Kind of explain that term momentum and what type of impact that actually has in the locker room, on the field. Is it a tangible thing type
confidence? It's when you're confident in what you're doing and how you do it, you tend to do it fast. You tend to play fast. You tend to react rather than think. And sometimes that's a very, very good thing. You want to be able to play fast. And that's probably, I think, the other word that I could use would be confidence as opposed to just momentum. And sometimes because of the momentum, because of the confidence in playing fast, it covers up a lot of mistakes as well. And that's one of the benefits to being successful right now. And hopefully we can sustain it and continue.
Taylor's completion percentage the past 3 games has been up significantly. What do you attribute that to? That's obviously helped you guys sustain drives. It's been a big part of the offense. What do you contribute him being able to complete a higher percentage of passes?
Well, I think one of the things has been, he's had time to set and find that guy. And I think a lot of it has to do with being able to run the ball successfully. because then it really adds to the play action. It really adds to slowing down the pass rush as opposed to them just going all out. So that, I think, has really helped us, obviously, especially with him.
Do you believe that there's a correlation between a commitment from a coaching staff in the run game and the ease that it puts on a quarterback, or the make it
Oh, yeah.
easier on completion percentage, stuff like that?
I do. I think when you're running successfully, it really does. It adds to being able to run good play action, and I think that's important.
You're right. When you talk about going back and finding out what you guys do well and all that, and in hindsight, it can look like, oh, is it obvious that you should have run the ball more? But how hard is it when you're in that moment, when you don't have that break, to sometimes analyze what it is that you really need to be doing?
Well, because we never really had this lead that sat there and said, you can see what you do best. When you're up 24-3, 3-touchdown lead, you can hammer it. I mean, we were in every game we played was a close game. It wasn't like anything was comfortable. But when you get a chance to now look at it from a different lens, now all of a sudden it's, wow, this is something we do really, really well. We need to really think about, and coming out of the bye, nothing told us that would work, other than the commitment we made to it, and then seeing it happen.
And then with Matsko, being able to plug all these guys in, what does he do maybe a little bit? Does he do something different than other coaches do to help develop guys? Like we see him out here, we see him before games and stuff. Is there something he does that's different to help guys stay prepared in case?
Not that other coaches don't, but he cares. He cares beyond just them as football players. He one of the things he does is he teaches the game itself, but he also teaches some other interesting things about life. A little secret, one of the things that he does is he has a book that he assigns to them every year during training camp, and they all have to read a specific chapter and then do a report on it. Yes. I've been in it when the guys have done reports, and it's been real interesting to listen and watch these guys. And it's kind of cool. It really is. They read a book by Admiral McRaven, Make Your Bed. Then they read another book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's about learning to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable. I mean, there's life lessons and stuff like that, and he's not doing it to punish anybody as much as he's just trying to help these guys understand how this all fits in your everyday life and how it fits in football. That, I think, is one of the unique things about Coach Matsko. It's not just about coaching and demanding and stuff, but it's mentoring and teaching. And his wife was an educator, and I think that's helped him as well. Just really a fascinating man. I mean, I love who he is, and I love the fact that he's been with me going on 11 seasons now.
Is that just the O-line he assigns it to, or is that?
Say it again?
Is that just the O-line he assigns those?
Yeah,
to?
just the O-line.
Ron, we've talked a lot about you guys have had the next man up situation and all over the place, particularly on offense. But it's not just backups playing. You have I think basically half your starting lineup on Monday was guys who were undrafted free agents. Leno's a 7th round pick. On the one hand, you could look at it and say, perception-wise, that's a lack of talent, perception-wise. But there's also maybe a little more hunger from having these kinds of guys who had to fight from the bottom up. What does that do for a team to have that many guys who are able to contribute because they have maybe that little extra fight, if that's accurate?
Well, I'm going to attribute to the position coaches. The way they prepare these guys, get these guys ready. Because one of the things that we've stressed when we were in OTAs, mini camps, training camp is that, we practice guys, we play guys with the 1s and 2s, not, and those guys down the line, because they're on the 3rd string doesn't mean that they don't get an opportunity with the 2s or the 1s. That gives us a chance to see where they fit, but it also, for some of those guys, it creates that, God, if I get a chance to move up, I can contribute. I know I can. And it is interesting because some guys do have chips on their shoulders. Some guys do have things to prove. And when you can get that guy that has that mentality and you keep him on, he's part of what you're doing, and he gets that chance. I mean, last year, for me, it was a guy like Jeremy Reeves, that just waits his opportunity, but at the same time, he takes advantage of the chance to prepare and get ready. You know, this year he's in the same boat, but he's still the same guy. He practices hard, he prepares hard just for that chance, just for that opportunity, and lo and behold, he's gotten it.
Ron, if I may ask, what made you bring John Matsko on originally in Carolina? Just listening to you talk about him as an educator and things of that nature, what made you want to bring him in as your offensive line coach to start with, and then, of course, like bringing him up here?
Well, you go into this trying to figure out who you want as a line coach, and you'll have a list of names that are out there. A lot of times, a lot of those guys aren't available, but you have that wish list. And his name was always on the list. When I'd ask people, well, who would you hire? His name kept coming up. But he was in Baltimore at the time, and he wasn't available. And lo and behold, Baltimore decided they were going to make a change on the offensive side. They started moving some coaches around, and he became available. John Harbaugh called me immediately because John and I, we worked together on Andy's original staff. And he said, look, we're doing some things, and nothing against coach. It's just, we have a different way we're going to do it on offense. He said, but I'd hire him again. And so that's all I needed was that kind of recommendation. I called Coach Matsko immediately, and he agreed to come for an interview that same day. And when he got here for the interview, he basically took his sport coat off, loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves, and started showing me how he was going to coach our players. And I was convinced within a half hour of listening to him talk. And then he spent the rest of that evening and the next morning with our offensive coaches, our coordinator, Rob Chazinski, who, after his conversation with him, told me, Coach, we need to hire him. We can't let him leave. And that's what we did. We hired him.
And then, in terms of the book, you said there's real-life lessons in it. How do you feel that your players, you said they have to write a report. Have you ever listened to the reports after the fact? Just what would you say are the takeaways from the players once they've read it and they've had to write about the chapter that they've read?
So, I'm sorry.
I said, you said that they have to write a report after they read the
Oh,
chapter.
yes.
Have you listened to the players?
Yes.
And what has been the takeaway? How are players different from before they read it to after they read it?
I think the realization that little things matter. I mean, like in that book, Admiral McRaven writes about making your bed and the discipline that it takes to do certain things. And, those are the kinds of lessons. And the other one, chop wood, carry water. The discipline of learning to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable, at certain tasks, and the repetition that certain tasks build muscle memory. So he does it very, very, very methodically in terms of the books he's picked. He's given me several copies of the different books that he's had, and I've read them all, and the ones that he's given me, and there really are life lessons. Everything from leadership lessons to, lessons on an individual life. And they're to me, if a coach gave me something like that, that to me just shows he cares. And I think that's important.
Just very quickly, I saw Antonio Gibson kind of go off a little bit, and Wendell Smallwood take over some of the reps in like the walkthrough sort of period. What do you feel like you guys can get out of Wendell Smallwood? How could he contribute if there's sort of, with JD out or anything with Antonio? How can Wendell Smallwood contribute to the offense?
About Antonio?
If I saw Antonio go over to the tent and Wendell Smallwood taking some of the reps. So just what do you feel like you guys can get out of Wendell Smallwood, especially with JD kind of in the concussion protocol? Yeah.
I like who he is. I mean, he's a guy that's kind of a tweener in terms of he looks like, a good-sized back that could come in and do some things, but then on the other side, he shows a nimbleness in terms of route running and catching the ball. So I think, if he's a guy that we have to pop up and use, I got a lot of confidence in him. He was here when I first got here and, just got to know him just a little bit before he left. But, Randy Jordan has a tremendous amount of confidence in him. And because of that, if we had to play him, I wouldn't be concerned.
Just wondering what your thoughts were on that Taylor interception. We haven't seen him throw one in a couple weeks. Was that, a good risk to take, or what was your reaction?
It was a good risk to take. He was a little late on it, and for good reason. And unfortunately, Bobby Wagner rolled perfectly. I mean, as a middle linebacker, as a linebacker coach, you watch a guy when you got a guy going up the middle seam, and if you have an experienced guy like Bobby, all he has to do is roll and put himself in perfect body position, which he did. It's going to force a high throw. And what happened on that was Taylor saw it, and it caused him to hesitate a second and then try to get it over the top, which he did perfectly. But the unfortunate part is that little hesitation gave the safeties a chance to make the break and make the play. It was a good decision. But as I said, you know, when you got a guy like Bobby Wagner rolling underneath and forcing that to happen, that's what great players can do.
Have you seen Taylor's risk-taking, the balance? I know you wanted to be a little smarter with checkdowns here or there. Have you seen that
Yes.
improve as the
Oh,
experience
yeah.
has grown?
Very much so. You know, and I think that's one of the things he's learning is that he doesn't always have to make the splash play, just make the smart play, which he did, and he's done that several times. And I think he's also learned the benefits of getting the ball in those underneath guys' hands. I mean, whether it's a back coming to the backfield being Antonio or JD, or it being DeAndre or Adam Humphries or Dax on a late drag or something. And then let him catch it and run. Those have been good for us, and he's seeing the benefit of that, and he's learning these things. And you know, this will come through experience. Again, you know, and I've said it before. I mean, you know, he's working on now with what's going to be his 13th start. So a lot of positive things in terms of his growth.
Seeing you back out of practice today, feel like that's another step for you. How do you feel after the game, and how nice was it to be able to get through 4 quarters and then turn around and practice again?
It feels good. You know, the most thing I'm proud about is, you know, after the game, being able to come out, you know, still have a smile on my face, you know, because just looking forward to the next week. You know, I'm feeling good. Of course, I'm sore because you know, haven't been out there in a while, being able to run around, but I feel good going into this week. I was able to, you know, run around today, and I feel good.
On that little quick pass where you got popped pretty good, stood up, and got the crowd on your side, what was that moment like, and just feel good to have a play like that to kind of wake you up and get you back into football mode?
Oh, it was fun. It was amazing. You know, being able to catch. You know, I ain't go too far, but you know, I just felt the energy. You know, as I caught the ball, I got hit pretty good. You know, I want to show the crowd that I'm still here. You know, get everybody fired up. You know, shake that one off.
Ron said you were going to be on a pitch count in the game. You went about 20 snaps. Was that bad for you, where you kind of thought you would be?
I didn't really ask or go find out how many plays I was going to play. I just was going to be ready to play. You know, no matter how many plays was going to be called for me. When the time came, I was just going to try to go out there and give it my all, give it my best, and try to, you know, make them count.
And to do more, to get back to like a regular set for a guy like you, is that conditioning? Is it just feeling more comfortable with the groin and moving forward? What's the next barrier for you to get more reps, you think?
I mean, the plan is definitely to do more. But I mean, I'm just take it day at a time, game at a time, and just see how I feel. Just trying to keep myself right, keep my body right, taking care of my body, and, you know, just keep going forward from there.
Chris, how different did you feel after that injection a couple weeks ago?
Much better. I felt like I was able to cut and do more without so much pain. You know, it was really tough. You know, the last couple of weeks, just trying to be able to run around and do stuff without having that pain. But that helped a lot. You know, it gave me the confidence to go out there, you know, last week during practice and be able to play in the game and feel good and feel confident. You know.
And then along those lines, when you're in the game and you're making cuts, were you able to not think about it? As far as like, am I getting hurt? Am I be able to just go out there and play freely?
I say this is actually one of the first times I actually was able to go out there and play without even thinking about like what happens if I make a cut. Like that's how, you know, that's how I felt going into the week. You know, I knew it was gonna be there, but like I felt good enough that I was gonna be like, all right, I can get it going a little bit. You know, not even thinking about it. It's just to keep on building, you know, get back to playing football, get those reps underneath my belt, just keep on going. The more I go, the more my growing is going to strengthen up, and I'm going to feel better, you know, being out there on the field. So everything's going to come back natural, you know, for being out so long. And I'm going to just go out there and make plays and do what I do. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, good for me and good for the team. I mean, any, you know, extra offensive weapon that you could have, I mean, you went out there on the field. So, you know, my thing is I just want to go out there and make plays and just get that extra pressure, you know, help win games.
How close are you to being yourself again, you think?
I feel good. I'm able to run fast. I'm able to cut. I'm able to play without thinking about my injury. That's the main thing, is I'm able to go out there confidently and run around.
Were you at all worried about how you would feel after the game? And did anything surprise you? Did anything about the way you felt surprise you at all?
No, I actually didn't think about how I was going to feel after the game. I just was so excited to play in the game. But I think the fact that I wasn't really so worried about how I was going to feel after the game may be a good sign, you know, because I wasn't really too worried because I didn't feel like I wasn't too sore going into the game.
What did you do after the game and until today, you know, to kind of keep yourself on this track?
Basically just continue to do what I was doing before, you know, just stay on top of my rehab, just keep my body fresh, keep my body loose, just do all the extra things, take care of myself, eat right, drink right, you know, just trying to stay on top of my body because I know after a game, you know, you get pretty sore, especially me after having been out there for a while. So I just got to pretty much take care of myself way more than I used to do before.
And how do you evaluate what you put on film? Is it kind of, hey, you know, just turn around is okay, or hey, you know, I want to look at this route or this blocker or things like that?
I mean, I think the plays that I was out there, I did a pretty good job. I mean, it felt good, you know, just being back out there, being physical with guys, you know. So I felt good being out there.
You were around Christian McCaffrey for a long time, but being around Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick, what do you make of just kind of the run game here, and what do you think has worked for you guys the past few weeks?
I mean, we got great running backs, you know, guys that can run, catch the ball. You know, JD and AG, they both are really good backs. So, you know, I just know they're really good, and, you know, I just go out there and block because I know if I block one extra guy and put them one-on-one with somebody, I know they're going to make somebody miss.
For run plays, like, a lot of times, like Scott will send one of you guys in motion or something like that. What does that do for the run game, just to increase handling? Does it help disguise things?
I mean, it just, I mean, pretty much, I mean, it confused the defense, you know, get people moving. They see people flying in front of their face. You know, just want them to make a check and make a call, and then, you know, just it messes them up a little bit.
Two more. Obviously, it's totally out of your control, but this injury happening when you join a new team, is it tough, like, you want to make a positive impression on, let's say, it's your new teammates, and this kind of thing happens? Like, how do you deal with those emotions?
In the beginning, it was tough, you know, just because I wanted to make such a huge impact just coming to a new team, and, you know, but I put a lot of stress on myself in the beginning, just trying to get myself to come back. But, I mean, I'm pretty much at ease because I really can't help my team if I'm trying to go out there and play hurt. So my thing is just to be healthy and take care of my body and take care of myself, and then that'll help the team.
Your touchdown to Cam Sims, how much do you remember from that? And was that a big play for you and kind of where you're at in your career?
Yeah. So he was my second read on that play, and I kind of remember the safety going left and the linebacker going left trying to get in that lane, and I kind of fit it in between those two. And it's probably one of my best throws of the year. And when you kind of make a throw like that for a touchdown in a big game like that, it gives you a lot of confidence. So, you know, ever since that throw, I've felt really good and just kind of kept on building on that.
And when you look at your play now, when you go back and review the film from these games, where are you most proud of in terms of the progress and improvement you've made over this past year or so?
I think the biggest thing is really taking care of the ball. I feel like we've done a great job of that. And also not taking really bad sacks. You know, when kind of things break down and you kind of get outside the pocket and make things happen. I think in previous games I was taking a sack when I was trying to make a big play, or I was taking an unnecessary hit. In the last 3 games, I feel like I've gotten away from that. So those are the 2 biggest things.
Why do you think you've gotten better at avoiding the big sack?
I think it's just, you know, the more reps you get in games, the more comfortable you get, and again, you start to progress. You understand the game better, and the game kind of slows down for you a little bit, and you understand what needs to happen. So, again, you know, when it's first and second down, don't take the sack. Live to see another day. Give yourself a third and manageable.
And when you guys are running the ball, do you notice the energy that your linemen seem to have? I know Flowers was pretty fired up after one of those the other day.
Yeah, so yeah, Biggie, he's always the first one to be in the end zone on rushing touchdowns and stuff. He has a lot of juice, but again, when you're in the huddle these last 3 games and you call that run play and those offensive line, their eyes light up, it's cool because that's right in their wheelhouse and they're doing a great job. So hopefully we can just keep this thing rolling.
You've known Scott for a long time. For him to be able to shift his kind of approach from pass to run, what do you think that says about him? And then also, like, does he strike you as like a run first type of coordinator at times? I mean, has he had to make an adjustment at all?
Yeah, it's easier on me. It's easier on the offensive line. It's easier on everybody. Defense as well when you can run the ball effectively. Our time of possession is crazy right now, and they can't score points when their offense is on the field. And so if we're running the ball effectively, and that helps the play action pass, that helps the protection, that helps the receivers get open. So, as long as we can keep running the ball, it's going to help everything out.
And for him, I guess Scott understands that, or where does he kind of come into?
Yeah, Scott understands that. He's a smart guy, and obviously we had to change a little something to get this thing going. We were on a 4-game losing streak, and again, the last 3 weeks we've run the ball well, and it just opens up everything else. So I think he did a great job of adjusting to that.
Keith Ismail comes in off the bench. You guys were hyping him up there in the huddle. Who leads that, and what was that like there?
I'm sure it was a combination of Biggie and Sheriff, those guys, and we had a lot of confidence in him. Coach Masco does a great job throughout the week of coaching those guys hard and rotating those guys in. So it wasn't the first time I took a snap from Keith. We knew he could get the job done. It was just him going out there and executing, and I think he did a great job.
You get when they bring him in like that, you can tell we're doing something right here.
Yeah. Again, when you're on your 4-string center and you keep running the ball like that, obviously something's going right throughout the week and in the game. So again, it's just a lot of credit to those coaches and how hard those guys work throughout the week.
December 1st, I believe this time last year, maybe it was the exact day that you were signed as the quarantine quarterback for this team.
Yep.
What a year it's been. Have you thought about that and explain that a little bit?
You know what? I really haven't. Again, every day's a new challenge, and there's a lot of stuff to be done this year still. So I'm sure after the season I'll kind of look back on it and see, how crazy it's been. But right now, I'm just focused on the Raiders.
Did you know it was this today?
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah, it was what's today? Wednesday. So today would have been my first practice last year. And again, I wasn't even allowed to practice. I was 10 yards behind everybody watching. So it's been a crazy, wild year.
You've certainly been getting more national attention. Obviously our local bubble here, but the fact that the last 3 weeks, Brady, Newton,
Russell.
Yeah, thank you, Russell. How do you kind of bubble yourself, because you're getting more and more attention, more and more traction? What is that like to kind of process all that?
Yeah, it's you kind of enjoy it while it's happening because, again, not many people get to experience this. So you have to reward yourself for, getting those wins. But at the same time, you have to have a short-term memory. And what I keep telling myself is, it's been a great story these last 3 weeks, but it's an even better story if you keep winning, and greater things can happen. So that's what we really want to accomplish. We want to accomplish some great things, but we do recognize the last 3 weeks have been pretty special.
Do you feel like you're playing your best football right now, and can you compare this feeling of playing 3 straight really good games to the one that you had going into the bye week, coming off 4 straight losses?
Yeah, I do feel like I'm playing, probably some of my best football I've ever played, and I think that's a credit to the coaches and just really working hard and keeping the ball in our possession. I think that's the biggest thing. When we like to take shots downfield, we like to get those big chunk plays, but if they're getting out of there, checking the ball down, it's just as good. So as long as we keep getting first downs and scoring points, that's all that matters. And yeah, the confidence now and how we feel now before our bye week is, total 180. We still had confidence during that 4-game skid that we could be great, but it was just going out there and executing. And to come back after the bye against Tampa and doing against them and building on that the last 3 weeks have been huge for us.
You mentioned the commitment to the running game has been a little bit of a change since the bye week. Have there been any changes in the passing attack? Because your completion percentage the last 3 weeks is way up from where it was before then. You mentioned it a little bit there. Is there any change there in the passing attack the last 3 weeks?
I don't think so. I just think, running the ball effectively just helps that play action even more. And then, when you can run the ball well and you can play action well and get those guys up and hit them behind there, and you mix in a couple quick games and a couple shots, the defense is kind of all over the place. They don't know what's coming. So, it's just been a good 3 weeks, and I think we can keep this thing rolling.
I'm curious if when you ever watch film of yourself getting out of some of those jams in the pocket, what you think, and then when you're in the middle of it, what are you seeing to find an opening? Because sometimes it looks like, oh, he's done, and then you're out of it.
I honestly can't give you an honest answer there. When I'm back there and things are kind of breaking down, I think that's when instinct kind of comes through and the feel of the game. So I'm just trying to find a little hole to squeak through and get what I can. But I think the play you're talking about was when I kind of ducked under number 8 or 10. I forget who it was. And you can't really coach that type of stuff. You don't do that in drills. I think it just kind of instinctively happens. So I guess it's just a little small gift I have.
And then going back to the cam throw, but throws like that, when you're making that throw, do you understand, like, when is it a risk versus a necessary throw? Like, that's a tight window throw, but there's also sometimes where it could be risk. And how do you process that when you're in the pocket to determine got to go now?
Yeah, so that throw to Cam, if I don't throw it on time, it's a bad throw, and that's the basis of it. If you don't throw that ball on time, you can't throw it. So again, that's another thing I've been working on. You watch the 4-game skid, I'm kind of late on throws, or I'm overthinking stuff, and I'm maybe floating things. And coming off the bye week, we really just want to work on our timing and just being on point. And if it's not there, then check the ball down. We'll see another day. So again, that was a great play for us, and it was a big confidence throw for me.
Taylor, a lot's been made about your underdog journey to get to this point and the sort of the fight that you have within that kind of comes with that. But you're not the only undrafted free agent, particularly on offense, who's playing a bigger role these days. When you have a bunch of guys who kind of have similar backstories, does it feel like the chip on the shoulder seems a little cliche to say, but is there some of that, a little extra fight that you guys have, and maybe that's coming across in what you guys are doing on both sides of the ball?
Yeah. Again, when you have a lot of those type of guys on the team, the reason that they're in the position they are in today is because they just worked hard and didn't take no for an answer. So we all have that kind of same mentality. We just want to go out there and play football and have fun and do it as long as we can. So, we work hard every day. We try and get better every day, and that's all we can really do.
Just curious, Derek Carr. Every week we ask you about the other quarterback because the other guy's got more experience or whatever it is. What stands out to you about Derek Carr? What's been kind of working for him, do you think, this year?
Yeah, he's a great quarterback. You kind of watch him throughout the years, and he puts up great numbers. And you kind of watch his games, and he likes to throw the ball downfield, and he completes a lot of them. So, they're a dangerous offense. We know that they can score some points. So us as an offense, we just try and stick to our guns, do what we do best. But we know Derek's a good quarterback, and he can air it out.
Ron mentioned how on Monday and recently you've been more willing to take the check down, take the guys underneath. Is that almost a thing where you have to throw enough deep and have them be deflected or picked off for you to learn, okay, the underneath is fine, or why do you think you're doing that more?
I think that just, again, comes with a lot of experience. And sometimes it's kind of the defense that they show and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say, like you just said, that has something to do with it as well. When you keep trying to fit balls in deep and they get picked and stuff like that, and you go back and watch on film that there's a guy wide open, 5 yards down the field that can get you 10, 15 yards, keep moving the chain, stuff like that. So, again, there's that fine line of you want to be aggressive and take shots, but at the same time you want to be smart and not turn the ball over. So I feel like we're at a good, level right now with that.
How is it incorporating Logan and Curtis back into the mix, and what do you think you guys can accomplish with those two now?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt when you have a big body like Logan, a good player like Logan, and an explosive player like Curtis. So hopefully we have a plan for them this week, and they can go do some great things. But it never hurts to have 2 great receivers / tight end come back.
Taylor, Ron was saying that having the run game improve also sort of helped you. I know you mentioned in the play-action game, but he talked about Phillip Rivers and how some of his best games came when he had less yards because there was less pressure. Is that something else that kind of comes with having a really good running game, feeling like it's not all on you to be successful necessarily?
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off a lot of people. Not just me, but again, the offensive line as well. That helps those. It kind of, the D-line can't just pin their ears back and go, when our guys are kind of beating them up on the run game. And then, again, it keeps their offense off the field. It gets our defense rested. So it's a huge just team deal when you can run the ball. It helps everybody out, but especially myself. It's nice handing the ball off to AG and seeing him do his thing, and same thing with JD. So, again, those guys up front, they don't get a lot of credit, but, they're doing awesome right now.
We obviously don't get a chance to be around you guys after the games in the locker room anymore, but I'm just curious for you all, what is it like when you go through a stretch where you beat a defending Super Bowl champion, you go down and have the emotional game in Carolina, and then you have a primetime game, you win all those games. What does it do for you all when you win in the different types of ways that you all have done? How is that like?
Yeah, it's huge. You can feel the confidence in the locker room. You can feel like the guys, they want to keep playing ball. They're excited. They're looking forward to the next game. And again, when you beat a defending Super Bowl team, and you go down to Carolina and it's Cam's homecoming, and then you play on Monday night and you keep running the ball and you're playing well, again, the confidence keeps building and building. And again, we're just excited for the opportunity against Vegas, and we want to keep this ball rolling.